Most SaaS businesses in the beginning don't sell; they're more marketing led. Yeah. How do you decide whether to sell, whether to be marketing led and growth led? How do you help SaaS founders make those decisions?
Yeah, I think that it depends. I think there's two things. One, first of all, is what stage are you in? I don't care what anyone tells me. If you are in the early stages, you're trying to figure out product market fit, you're sub, let's just say $1 million ARR, you are sales driven, no matter what. Like, you can do all kinds of marketing to get people to notice you, but ultimately your product alone is not mature enough to really know what you're selling, who you're selling to, why they're buying, what the objections are. And so it's a farce to say that, oh, the product will lead the growth. I believe that founders essentially have to get in and talk to the customers, because one, it'll help you understand truly what the market is. And two, it'll help the customer trust you more for a tiny company that's building a product with very little revenues. So I think in the early stages, it's almost always sales-driven emotion, whether you want to call it that or not. That's essentially what it ends up being.
Right. So your rule of thumb, up to the first $1 million ARR, you're selling. Just hit the phone, son. Go out there, got to pound the pavement, metaphorically. What would be, when you do make that transition, at the point of $1 million, let's say you do start getting product market fit. Maybe it isn't $1 million. Maybe it's before that. Maybe it's after that. But let's say you do start getting to product market fit. How do you then transition, and what should the next stage be from your experience?
Yeah, the first stage, if you're early, the first principle, if you will, if you're early stage, then you just need to get in front, because there's too many variables and you're looking to find the patterns. Now, let's just say you've hit product market fit, however you want to define that. Let's just say you've hit a threshold amount of revenue and you kind of know what your value proposition is. You know who your ideal customer is. You know exactly how you differentiate from the competition. Then are you going to be marketing driven or sales driven, or, if you will, product led growth, which is a buzzword, and we can talk about that. How do you pick? Believe it or not, it fundamentally depends on your price. It depends on how you've established your pricing strategy. Now, the rule of thumb for a product is that whatever you charge your customers, they need to get 10x the business impact. So if you're charging them $1, they should get 10x of that dollar in terms of realized business impact. So this is why pricing, I think you have to be very purposeful about. I think we have like 5 videos on pricing strategy alone in the YouTube channel. They're some of the most popular because people have started to realize this. If you are selling something, let's just say it's less than $20,000 a year in terms of software. If it's less than $20,000 a year, you have to be marketing driven. If it's less than 20K, you have to be marketing driven, because by the time you do the math on a salesperson and their salary and their commission and the cost of acquiring that lead through marketing, when you add up the full cost of the acquisition, you'll never ever make that money back by putting in a salesperson if you're charging less than 20K a year, broadly. Like, that's a good place to put the stake down. If you are greater than 20K, then there's just no way someone's going to swipe their credit card without talking to a human being. And so I think that the choice between marketing driven and sales driven almost is an illusion. It's really purely driven by the price. If it's less than 20K a year, then people will be willing to swipe their credit card, and you have to figure out a way to do that. If it's greater, they're going to want to talk to a human being, even if it's on a one-call close, which is very possible in SaaS. But in that scenario, you have to build out the sales-driven piece.